You can add another national championship to the record books at North Central College after men's cross country took home that title this past weekend in Mason, Ohio. We'll chat with both the men's and women's XC teams later in the show, but first let's catch you up on some other developments in NCC athletics. Thanks for joining us on the Cardinal Report. I'm Zach Groth. Both NCC basketball teams sit at 2-0 after an excellent weekend at the Chicago Marriott Naperville tip-off opening tournament. The women's team got things started Friday evening with a 100-84 victory over St. Mary's, followed by a thrilling double overtime win against Millsaps on Saturday, 117-115. Tess Gotthard put on a show against the Lady Majors, putting up 40 points for NCC and hauling in 14 rebounds. That point total breaks the previous single-game record at NCC, 39 points from Hall of Famer Amanda Cortese in February of 2001. The men's basketball team scored at a less prolific pace over the weekend, but displayed steady defense in its 2 games to claim the tip-off tourney title. The Cards beat Trinity on Friday by a final of 81-64 and followed that up with a 77-61 win against Bluffton. Charlie Rosenberg earned tournament MVP honors after leading NCC in scoring for both of its victories. Rosenberg put up 25 points on Friday and 23 on Saturday. On Monday, the CCIW named Rosenberg its Player of the Week. Former NCC athlete Joe Norton returns to the Cardinal wrestling program this season as the team's new head coach. North Central sits at 1-1 after a pair of dual meets in its early schedule and competed at the Concordia University Wisconsin Open on Saturday. 3 Cardinals advanced to the championship round at Concordia, including sophomore Leighton Binion, who took home the championship at 141 pounds. Seniors Nathan Siegel and Dylan Mahler finished second in their brackets. The women's volleyball program finishes the 2014 season with 8 more wins than last year, but the Cards did not qualify for the CCIW tournament. NCC struggled in a very talented conference, finishing with a 2-5 conference record. One of those victories came in the Cardinals' final match of 2014 on senior night against Illinois Wesleyan. The Cards saw a 2-0 set lead disappear against the Titans, only to rally back in the 5th set for a thrilling 3-2 victory. Laura Klug tallied 47 assists in the season finale and also earned third-team all-conference honors for her performance this year. And now we get to the Cardinal cross-country programs. Both teams will stop by the show today, and we'll start with men's head coach Al Carius. Our interview with Coach Carius coming up after this.
This financial advisor is being accused of committing one of the largest investment frauds in the history of the United States.
I guess we're not going to Aspen. That's fine. You see, I like tennis balls. He likes insider trading. So he's going to jail and I'm going to a shelter. And no, they're not the same thing. Shelters are for good pets that want to be adopted. Jails are for criminals. I've done nothing. Uh-oh. Okay, I stole a cheeseburger once. I'm a dog.
Welcome back to the Cardinal Report. Joining the set now, the head coach of the 2014 Division III Men's Cross Country National Champions, Al Carius. Thanks for stopping by, Coach.
Well, it's great to be here, and it was a close call on Saturday, and it's great to be here, you know, with a national championship team. It was a great weekend.
We talked a lot on Saturday about the course conditions, that mixture of mud, ice, puddles of water here and there throughout the course. What kind of challenge does that present, and how did your team do so well in having some trouble with the challenges, but eventually coming through?
Well, it's a great question, and it's something we try to talk about all year long. You know, when you start out cross country at the beginning of the year, the weather's perfect and the conditions are perfect. Everybody's talking about times and how fast they run this and how fast they run that. I try to remind everybody that weather goes with cross country and times really don't mean anything. Some courses are hilly, some courses are muddy, sometimes it's cold, snow. You can get almost anything there. And luckily, Frank Ramoroso works with me. We were on the bus, talked to the team the day before about competitive response, and that's something that I got from Bill Bowerman, the great coach at Oregon. And he said, no matter how well you prepared a team, no matter how well they're ready to go, the unexpected can happen, and what you must prepare your team for is for that moment. And we also call that the 5-second response. How you respond in the first 5 seconds of something happening will have an influence on the outcome. And so we warned our guys about that, because we have been in national championships where people have fallen. We've been in national championships where people have lost their shoes. The unexpected can happen. And we have to be able to know that if it happens, we have to respond favorably, to that. So having 2 athletes go down in that meet was could have been devastating to us and our final team total had they lost focus. But they knew they were committed to something bigger and more important than themselves, and that was their teammates. They got off the ground and they came battling back and got us in the position that we could win.
Let's take a trip back to that stellar NCC performance. Here are the highlights from the men's national championship race. Cardinals fly east to Mason, Ohio for the cross-country national championships. NCC the favorite in the 32-team field, but they'll need to knock off Grant Winthizer and 2013 champion St. Olaf. At the gun, Cardinals blast off in the center of the crowd. Ryan Root and Aaron Sabat leading the red and white to start this one. 280 total runners in the field. 2 kilometers in, WashU's Andrew Paget leads. Cardinal Travis Morrison close behind in 4th. Sabat holding steady in 12th. Ryan Root nearby in 24th place. To the 4K mark, Wisconsin Platteville's Ian Lemire has grabbed the lead. Morrison now 8th, Sabat 13th. St. Olaf in great position, 5 runners in the top 42 spots. For NCC, Root down to 32, Tim Vasquez 56th, and Zach Plank in 69th place. Support waiting for NCC at the finish line, but the individual crown will go to Winthizer, who wraps up his title run with a time of 23:44.9. Morrison claims 7th at 24:34. Sabat also brings home All-American honors at 12th place. Olaf's Paul Escher takes 14th at 24:19.7. Plank and Troy Kelleher come in at 44 and 46th for North Central, followed by Philip Meyer from St. Olaf. Ryan Root reaches the finish at about 25 minutes flat to take the 58th spot and finish the NCC scoring. Cardinals Ben Dikshinsky and Vasquez round things out at 74 and 79. And the final St. Olaf score comes from Jake Brown, who finishes at 116. After a few moments of trepidation, the Cardinals learn they have just captured the national championship, the 16th for the XC program and head coach Al Carius. Sabat and Morrison enter the storied list of All-Americans at North Central College, receiving their medals in the post-race ceremonies. The Cardinals get to rejoice with their new trophy to end the afternoon. St. Olaf has really emerged as another powerhouse program nationally. What have you seen in their rise to that national stage, and do you see a potential friendly rivalry developing between your 2 teams?
Absolutely. Through the years, you gain great respect for different programs, different coaches, and they had a head coach coming over from University of Minnesota that has come into their program and, in my opinion, really helped turn the program around. Last year, for them to win the national championship was spectacular. A great turnaround of the program. It was the first national championship that any team had ever won in the history of their school. So to win last year was remarkable and a great accomplishment for them. And then to come back this year and be a contender and get 2nd place is, in my opinion, a tremendous accomplishment as well. It's very difficult to repeat once you win.
Your 2 All-Americans, Aaron Sabat and Travis Morrison, we've seen them ascend through the different levels of competition and reach the top this season. How are guys like that able to make those huge strides in what seems like a really short period of time?
That's an excellent question and one to take a book to really answer, but it's an evolutionary process individually and collectively, for a team. With this team, we had no one returning that was in the top 34 of last year's national championship team. 3 of those athletes, Travis Morrison, one that you're mentioning, has never been in our top 7. And let alone, become an All-American this year in the national championship. Aaron Sabat was our 6th man last year at the national championship, got experience, critically important experience, and really took it to a new level this year. I think that it's what you accumulate on a day-by-day process and what you learn and how you take those little life lessons and that come from practices and come from meets, and be able to absorb them into your game plan and into your running plan, that really makes a big difference. And we tell our athletes that at the end of the year, you're far better prepared than you were at the beginning of the year because of all the experiences we've had, all the life lessons we've had, and really we're in better condition, more confident at that time of the year. So the main thing is to really buy into the team dynamic at the end of the year. That's the last piece of the puzzle that really glues all the other pieces together.
16 national championships now. It's almost become commonplace for the program. And I think with so many great results like this, you almost lose the significance of how giant an accomplishment this is. How much do you encourage the guys to revel in the moment and really let this all sink in?
Oh, I really stress that a great deal, because there's never an assurance that it will ever happen again. And if it was easy to have happen, there would be a lot of teams that would accomplish it. And I think it's a real blessing that we have had the success that we've had through the years. It took us a long time to get to that level where we really, felt that we could be consistently successful. But I think these athletes that come into the program have the advantage of, really stepping on the shoulders of the athletes from the past, the alums from the past, the successes of the past, which make it in their minds, their thought process, thinking, you know what? It can happen to us too. We are capable of winning a national championship. Well, whether we win or not, remains to be seen, but we know we're capable of being at that level. So we've got the advantage of winning our first national championship back in 1975, and that opened the door for anybody else that's followed to say, you know what, it's possible at North Central College. We're capable of winning.
With so much talent coming back to this team next year, when do you make that transition from celebration to thinking about 2015?
Well, right now, the evolution is really into indoor track and to try to keep the momentum going that we built, through cross country, actually last summer, cross country, and now keep that momentum and get some checkpoints and some experience, evaluated experience that's going to help us in the future. For next year. So really it starts right now. It's a lifestyle that continues, and one day builds on the previous, 1 week on the previous, 1 month on the previous, 1 season on the previous. So we're right now starting next year's cross-country season.
Coach, thanks for joining us today, and congratulations again on another incredible run in 2014.
Thank you very much for having me.
When we return, 2 runners from the national championship team will stop by and share their thoughts on the continuation of the Cardinal dynasty. More at the Cardinal Report coming up.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Thanks for sticking with us here on the Cardinal Report. Now I'm happy to introduce 2 athletes from the championship cross-country team, Troy Kelleher and Travis Morrison. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. Absolutely happy to be here.
Travis, we'll start with you. We talked a little bit already about the course issues on the show, but dealing with that and for you being able to stay on 2 feet and when so many people are having issues with the course, what was the challenges that brought to you, and how were you able to overcome those?
I mean, that was absolutely my biggest goal during the race. After I saw Troy go down earlier in the race, I really had to focus on just staying on my feet and taking the approaches that I need to around each turn, where things were super muddy, to sort of, hold myself back and not put myself in danger.
And Troy, you did take a fall. Tell me where that happened, and your comeback, getting back up towards that front group, is one of the biggest reasons why you were able to win the national title as a team.
Yeah, well, the fall happened around, it was between 1,000 meters and a mile in, so it was pretty early on in the race. And at that point, I kind of knew that maybe my individual aspirations wouldn't quite turn out the way I wanted them to. But, and I fell back quite a bit in the race, but I realized that to help my teammates out, I needed to get up with them and push them. And I just slowly worked through the race, worked through with guys as I went. And I knew that up front we had consistent performers like Travis and Sabat and Root and Plank. I knew that up front we had those guys. So I was concerned, but I knew that they would do their parts. So I knew I needed to get up there to help. And Troy, when the race was over, the teams gathered, when did you know or think that you guys had it locked up? Because I was with the group standing in front of it filming when
When the announcement was made, before that, what was that like?
Well, it was when I crossed the line, I definitely thought that we had lost the championship, and it was then that I talked with Root, and we decided that we weren't going to be upset about it. We had given it everything we could. We had worked as hard as we could. We knew it had been a great season, but then we walked back to the tent, and people started talking and saying that unofficially we might have won, that it was a close score, and then once we finally, I think a woman from the NCAA approached us and told us, I think she said something about like, hey, did you guys get your championship hats or something like that? And that's when we were like, oh my gosh, hats! Like we actually won, and we all got. It was such a great feeling. We could just feel the excitement, and it was really emotional.
Travis, you made such a huge leap this season. Ascending to that next level, how does the program and a coach like Al help you make such a huge improvement individually?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I had never come here, I would have never made the jump that I had. I've had quite a bit of troubles with injuries throughout my career, and Al's open-endedness to approach to coaching has really, created my career and helped me reach this level of success.
You both now have an All-American medal. Does that rank up there with the coolest things you own? Is that something that you flaunt a little bit? And we'll start with you.
Well, I guess it's not so much for us about the medals, and I think I'm speaking for Travis too when I say that. It's about kind of the experiences that we had throughout the season, bonding with our teammates, and I think the way we performed at Nationals kind of showed that. It showed how Al has taught us to adapt to different situations, and also the love and support that we have from our coaches, our friends, our teammates, and all the great alumni that we had out there. So that's really what we're excited about right now.
And for you, what does that medal mean? What was that moment like, having it draped over your neck at the ceremony?
Oh, it was very satisfying, but more satisfying was winning the national championship as a team. That was our ultimate goal, and I was just happy to be part of, something to contribute to that overall performance.
And Troy, there's a lot of talent coming back. A few of you are probably going to be gunning for that individual championship next year, definitely for All-American spots. What do you see in the near future for this program?
Well, we're always reloading. We have a tremendous amount of talent and depth, and really it speaks to the greatness and consistency of our program that we're constantly able to bring people up with us. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were some athletes that might be on our JV team right now that are stepping up into varsity positions, and I always see guys like Plank that are returning that have tremendous potential and just a great attitude toward the sport. I see them improving, and yes, we have big team and individual aspirations for next year.
Gentlemen, congratulations on number 16.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll welcome in the head coach of the women's cross country team and recap their performance at the national championships. Stick around.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
The Cardinal Report continues on with the head coach of the North Central College women's cross country team, Mahesh Narayanan. Thanks for joining us. The team finished 20th at the national championship, right around where you were ranked going in. How satisfied were you with the performance, and what did you see?
We were very satisfied with the idea that we also had a lineup change, which we pretty much had to make the call the Friday before. And so one of the things, when you take out, basically what you would take out as a starter who's been in the lineup pretty much all year, it does affect the dynamic and what your overall finish is going to be. Now, the plus to this was one, we knew what type of character we had in our team when Helen even said that her level of contribution wasn't going to be there, and the fact that we wanted to keep her safe, basically for the rest of her career in the season. Two, we had put in a junior, our sophomore, and she stepped up and got in the role of being excited and being able to continue. And third, you know what, we got the experience we needed. We got some more people to get the national level experience, and between the regionals and nationals, it really was a positive for us. And of course, we wanted to be a few places up, but I think the overall net gain for us as a program was pretty huge.
Your team returned to the D3 championships for the first time since 2011 and proved with their performance that they deserve to compete on that elite stage. Let's recap the race with our video highlight. Amanda Cortese and the NCC women's team ready to go. Johns Hopkins, a dangerous team leading the field in the women's championship. Senior Nora Ferguson in front of the Cardinal group to start it off. 280 more runners take to a course that's already worn from the earlier men's race. Amy Reagan from the Stevens Institute leads after 2 kilometers. As the larger crowd funnels through the turn, Ferguson and Megan Costanzo sit at 89th and 91st place. Cortese is 113th, and later on Caitlin Zumpf and Emily Trent come into the picture at 176 and 177. Reagan continues to lead at the 3K mark. WashU's Lucy Cheadle is next in line, followed by MIT's Sarah Quinn and Ruth Stanke from Carleton. Reagan builds a late lead and finishes nearly 7 seconds ahead of Cheadle to take the individual championship. Cheadle earns runner-up honors. Costanzo and Ferguson cross at almost the exact same moment for North Central and finish at spots 81 and 82. Cortese ends up in 96th place, and Cardinals Allison, Hartman, and Zumpf round out the NCC score. Hartman in 206th, Zumpf at 241st. Amy Rotuno finishes later at 251, Trent crosses at 256. North Central finishes 20th with a team score of 539 points. This wraps up NCC cross-country careers for Ferguson and Zumpf. Johns Hopkins posts a total score of 87 and takes home the team title. Adjusting for the absence of Helen Meyer, who stepped up? How were you able to make that switch and able to weather that pretty well as a team?
Well, we brought in Emily Trent, who was our 8th runner last week, and she was on standby last week. And again, we told her the same thing. You want to prepare yourself in the sense that at any given point you want to go in. We told her Friday. She was ready to go very enthusiastically and was ready to get after it. And really, when you talk about changing a lineup, it does require the other 6 members that are in there to also step up and understand this is what we're working with and this is the group we're going to compete with. So really, overall, it was an overall just a team effort as far as who was able to do what, and you got to have that strength and inner type of working to be able to do that and make that adjustment, especially at a championship level meet.
Such an outstanding year for the program, winning the CCIW, getting to the national championship. What's a realistic next goal, next stage for your group?
Next year, I would be hard-pressed to say that if we do want to win a conference title, we do want to be in the top 2 or 3 at the regional level, and we do want to have aspirations to be a top 15, top 10 type of team, if not better. And again, that comes back to our team having the focus and the goals that they want to have. But like I said, I'd be hard-pressed to see that the type of athletes we have, that they wouldn't want that. I know this year really was, again, know what the national meet's about. Let's get back over there and let's continue to get our training and our regular race season scheduled to work toward that type of a target.
A long and storied career came to a close on Saturday with Nora Ferguson's race. What has she meant to the program, and how much will she be missed next season?
She's tremendous, and we'll miss her a lot. Part of what she brought was really just being a 5th year, having the maturity, having the insight, being able to talk to the women internally, being able to lead on the field, being able to show our other captains what they can do, and vice versa. She also took a lot. It really was a two-way street. But for her, when you go to these type of meets, it's experience, experience, experience. To win young at the national level, at conference level, is pretty tough. And so when you have a seasoned runner that can have that presence, be able to feel secure as a 1st runner, 2nd runner, or 3rd runner, even 4th runner at one point, it takes a lot, and you have to have that type of mentality to know that you're still doing well and can still elevate your team.
Great races for Costanzo, Cortese. What do you expect out of them for next season?
More. I know they want to, and if I said anything otherwise, they would they would tell me real quick that their aspirations are very high, their targets are very high, and they want to continue to get to that next level, whether it being at the All-American and as an individual and pulling our team into a top 10 or better.
Coach, thanks for joining the show today, and good luck next season.
Great. Thank you.
After the break, 2 of the top runners from this year's women's XC team will join us to reflect on the 2014 season. Don't go anywhere.
Today is Saturday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
We're back to close out today's show with 2 of the fastest runners from the women's cross-country team. Junior Megan Costanzo and sophomore Amanda Cortese join us now. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was your race like, Megan, being able to finish side by side with Nora, almost the exact same time finishing that race?
Well, that was pretty amazing. Me and Nora we really figured it out towards the end of the season on just how to be a good teammate and how to run together. I mean, I think that regionals race we worked together really well, and then this nationals race she really helped me out. She really pulled me through, and I just wanted to finish her season out right next to her, and it was an amazing feeling.
And Amanda, that course, we saw beforehand, even before the men's race, how bad the conditions were. They did a great job setting up the event, but Mother Nature didn't really go along with it. Ice, snow, water, mud everywhere. And after the men ran through and it's completely beat up, then it's your turn to get on it. What were those conditions like, and how did you deal with that and stay just on balance and on your feet?
It was definitely very muddy. It was it was a true cross-country course, I would say. A lot of mud, a lot of hills. But I thought it was really fun. It was a really great experience. It was a little tough with the conditions, but I think we worked through it really well as a team, and none of us fell, so that was definitely a plus. But it was a really cool experience.
Your group got a little bit buried, Megan, at the start of the race, a little farther behind. How difficult was it then, especially the course that was very narrow at some of these parts, to get around groups, and steadily both of you made progress throughout the race moving up that leaderboard? Yeah, that start was way different than you've ever experienced, and we've talked about it. You don't know how that's going to be until you're at that national level course, because I hadn't experienced that at regionals or anything like that, and it was all us three just battling to get through, and I was following Amanda to get through, I was following Nora to get through, and we were just paving paths trying to get through. So it was pretty difficult, but we managed our way. We tried to fight back and get through it, so it was pretty cool. Amanda, you two and Nora as well, we expect these great performances out of you, but out of your teammates, who do you think impressed you the most on Saturday and maybe going forward in the next year or two of this program?
Going forward, we do have a pretty young team, and I think that's really cool. And I think everyone really did a great job this weekend, especially considering the conditions that we had. And for a lot of us, actually for all of us being our first time racing this race, I think we all did really well. I can't even think of a certain person to pick out individually, because I think everyone had just a really great season, a great race, and so I'm really proud of everyone who ran.
As you two step into these leadership roles with the team, what's the goal for next season, individually, maybe fighting towards that All-American conversation, or as the team trying to get back on the stage? Well,
I think we have a lot of opportunities with our runners, especially the ones who raced this past weekend. I think we have a good chance at moving up, like Mahesh was saying, top 10 or 15, and I think that we want at least 2 or 3 of us to be All-Americans next year. That might seem like a high goal, but if you knew the type of athletes and the mindset we had as a team, you would know that it's possible. So. Do you feel the same way about that All-American conversation and thinking you can maybe jump 50, 60 spots in the national championship next year? Yeah, I do agree. We've worked really hard for this, and it really showed off this year. And I think we definitely have room to improve, and we definitely can make those steps. So I'm excited for the future. We learned a lot, so that'll help. This one's for both of you, and we'll start with Megan. When do you transition? When do you let this calm down and move into track and field mode? Well, generally, if you're healthy, you move right into it. I think most of us will maybe take a few days to like cross-train or relax, and we go right into track. Just a few days? There's no... We want to be good, and that's how you get good. So we really, we won't be like intense, but we're still gonna, running doesn't stop. The season doesn't end. We're always running, so. Do you share that same sentiment? Yeah, I mean, we'll take a little bit of a break, maybe a couple of days, maybe, take it a little easier, but then we'll get back into our winter running kind of schedule and get ready for track. Congrats on a great year in cross country, and thanks for joining the show today. Thank you. That wraps up our final Cardinal Report of the 2014 calendar year, but don't fret, NCC fans. The show will return in January to continue our coverage of Cardinal athletics. We'll also have a live broadcast of the women's basketball team's game against Wisconsin-Eau Claire this Saturday at 2 p.m. on NCTV 17 and NCTV17.com. Thanks for joining us today on the Cardinal Report. I'm Zach Groth. We'll see you in 2015.